We're chasing comedy, working on jokes, working on bits, seeing what sticks, seeing what stinks. We're chasing comedy, politics and current events, cultural shifts and psychological bents, the daily news, your grandpa's views, conspiracy theories, trending Google queries. Either way, it's all okay. We're chasing comedy. So listen up and we'll lay it all out, whether you're seeking wisdom or zoning out. Have your fill, it's all just for the mill, with Brian and Dustin, and we're chasing comedy. We're Brian and Dustin, and we're chasing comedy.
Hi, I'm Dustin Chafin.
And I'm Brian Scott McFadden.
And you're listening to
Chasing Comedy.
Yay, there it
with
is.
Dustin and Brian, right here on whatever platform we're on that you're listening to it on.
Right now it's Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube.
Apple Music, Spotify, eBay, whatever.
eBay. It's eBay.
You know.
Etsy. Are we on Etsy? I think we're on Etsy.
Right. Pinterest.
I'm on Southwest Airlines.
We're playing in elevators. This is going to be elevator.
We're on that little screen at the gas station. You know, where you pump your gas. That little screen.
Yes. We're actually going to be hold. We got to sign a deal with hold for withhold music. We're going to be like if you're on hold with a big corporation, if you call like Aetna or something, you'll hear this podcast while you're on hold.
Like it. Elevators. So you only listen to us one floor at a time. So you literally get 3 seconds of this show. I do like the elevator podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Amazon. My cart. I'm in my cart right now, trying to buy more products. Yeah. So there's a guy that he posted that he had like a Kobe rookie card, and then something, and then his neighbors like broke in and stole it. Like,
that's really good.
It's like you have to be careful what you tell your
be
treasures.
Careful what you share.
The pirates will come for you.
That's amazing.
Pirates will come for you.
You can't even share like a happy.
Sure, nobody wants to come steal my Star Wars Episode 1 action figures.
This is the reoccurring theme here. Is the
this seems to be
we all
something.
got duped, but that's what they do. You know, Star Wars is genius like that. It's just who would have thought that those movies would have been so bad? If those movies would have been better movies, then the toys would have been a big deal. But Darth Maul, I'm going to get nerd out here for a minute, is the best Star Wars character of all time. He's better than Darth Vader, in my opinion. He's a ninja. Like Darth Vader cannot do what Darth Maul can do. And the actual guy is like an amazing martial artist. So it's like, that's a great character, but even that is worth like $12, you know?
Yeah. Right.
It's the best character of all time. And it's still worth,
Kobe rookie 12. Card, not even close. The Kobe rookie card or the Butcher. I'm going to turn this
Vinyl is a big deal. Yeah, I'm all about the vinyl. Because vinyl you can find in places. You got to find the key to vinyl. I used to have a show about this, but the key to vinyl is finding a place where they don't know anything about vinyl. And you get some flea market in Arkansas. Or, do people still listen to these? And you're like, yeah, that's worth a lot of money. I'm going to take that for $9. Yeah.
yeah.
That's the key to vinyl, is trying to find stupid people not knowing what they have.
That's great. So you take advantage of people's lack of knowledge
of a mom and pop situation. Yeah.
Awesome.
I've never been able to find that though. Everywhere is used albums for $20. Albums that probably they pressed millions of.
You'd be surprised, sometimes you catch it. Yeah. It is definitely caught on with the antiques market and stuff. There's definitely people know what they're doing, but sometimes you'll find it. I've found stuff that's worth a lot of money at like a Salvation Army and stuff. Because some people are just like, they're not into vinyl, and let's say it's like a estate situation, or they're getting rid of their mother's stuff or their grandpa's stuff, or whatever. They don't know, they're not into it, so they don't think about it. And so they just drop it off at a place. A place like Salvation Army, and then it's in the dollar bin, and you're like, that's worth $600.
But that's pretty. That's But you got to go hunting for that. Like when I go to upstate New York and I see these places that you never go, like upstate New York or any rural area, you go antiques. And let's go antiquing. I never understood like what that was about. Like you go to these rural areas and there's so many industries that are just sell like antiques. I really don't understand the dynamic at play there. Like what, like, I mean, just people, don't people have antiques in the city, but in the suburbs, whatever, it's like upstate New York, there's just tons of, let's go antiquing. And I don't even know what the connection is there. I really have never understood what that's about or why that's a thing or.
Well, it's just like Star Wars action figures or Beatles albums. People have, this is kind of a funny, kind of weird thing, but I think people just have to be into something. Like they can't just not be into a thing. You know what I mean? Like I think we're conditioned.
Somebody,
yeah, I mean that's how the infomercial was born. Like we just we need commemorative plates because we don't have them and we need them. You know?
Right. Trump, what is it? What's Trump selling these days? Like cards, whatever. He's got these action. Have you seen the like cards?
Yeah,
or whatever
he's like
they are.
buff.
Yeah. And I've always said that they always say that a lot of the Trump stuff is based on, racism. And I think it's more homoeroticism. If you watch the iconography of like it's really like something you would see at Fire Island. The need to see him with rippling muscles and ripped abs is so palpable that you don't want to like that. He's not a doughy guy who eats cheeseburgers. He's somebody. Whatever you want to say about Trump, he ain't Magic Mike.
That's a good joke.
Actually,
that's a great joke. That's a great joke. Like that's
I'll write that down. I didn't even think of that.
It's either that they make him Magic Mike or they make him the 14th apostle. You know what I mean? Like
right. So it's like that.
Where he's like Jesus is over him and he's cloaked and he's just like he's really our savior. Right. And he's like he's the Messiah. It's either Messiah or Magic Mike.
Yeah, that's your two choices right there. Okay. All right. I don't want to say that he's just, a game show host from basically a game show host guy from the guy. Oh, yeah, that's the guy from Celebrity Apprentice right there. Yeah, no, it ain't that. He's not I always thought he's a Kardashian, like he's not he's not like leading the country into some great, he's not a Kennedy, he's a Kardashian. That's a problematic reference because it's a KK sound and it's also, but the thing is, you know what I mean? Like Kennedy sounds like it would be, he's not JFK. He's not, and you don't want to say KKK because that's hack, but something, he's not a Kennedy, he's a Kardashian. But then you think, which Kennedy? Ted, RFK Jr. That's kind of a reference that doesn't go anywhere. So. Yeah,
and there's also what is this boat picture he sent? This is,
are we posting?
Oh, hilarious! Yeah. They got him as Rambo. So, that's another one. Have him as like, the protector, and that's right. How they see him as just like this badass. Our friend. Do you know Jesse Joyce? Are you friendly with him?
Yes.
Yeah, great writer and writes for Kimmel and all kinds of everything comedy. He's pretty much writes for it. I don't know if you saw his latest video, pretty amazing. And it's basically Dave Bautista, who is a tough guy, and he's basically
I saw that.
The whole video is him just kind of mocking Trump not being tough and how they make him this guy with those cards and abs. And then they just show him like afraid of an eagle. They show him like the way he drinks water. They show him like just, being scared of everything. So it's really kind of, and then it's somebody like Dave Bautista, who's like a monster. So it's like, you can't, you know what I mean? Like if somebody else, was doing it or if Kamala was doing it, it wouldn't, but it's Dave Bautista. So you can't argue it.
Right. Which is showing you. And that's really weird that whole, because that's the choice we have. He's Magic Mike or he's an apostle, and then we have to like degrade him, like and say, oh no, he's this candy ass guy, which sort of isn't even helpful, but it's just a reaction to the other side because then the other side rushes to his defense and says, look how cruel you are, pretending, the guy sacrifices so much for America. This constant, no matter what you say, it's this constant, like, just like, it's just boring, same. He's a hero. He's this. He's that. No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's this. He's a doughy, that guy, which is what I'm saying.
But he is a hero for these
yeah.
guys, for these people. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's just like, but what's amazing about it is, you know, the Trump phenomenon is basically how much the left hates him is what the right loves about him. And that's what fuels this. We don't care if you make him with abs and a machine gun. We don't care if you make him hanging out with Jesus. We don't care that he wears makeup. We don't care that he's a rich boy. We don't care. We don't care about any of that because it infuriates the left so much. We love
it pisses
that he does that.
Off. Exactly.
He makes you so angry that we don't even care about all that stuff because you start because it blows everybody left when they think about Trump. It blows their mind because they're not looking at it, you know, in a way that's like they're just doing this to push you and make you crazy. And so that's
and it makes it makes our side shoot ourselves in the foot by taking positions. Whatever Trump says has got to be wrong, bad, everything. No matter even if he says anything remotely that somebody. You know, some of the immigration stuff that Obama would have said, you know, a number of years ago that like we need strong borders and if you come over the border, like all this stuff. But we can't take that side now. We can't even say the things that Obama and Clinton said back in because and it's absurd because it just makes us look like we're just we can't take these positions that were standard boilerplate. I mean, Bernie Sanders of all people was one of the most outspoken people about people coming here from other, you know, about having strong borders to protect the American working class. The
right wants immigrants. That's all they want. They just, but for votes, they're going to pretend that they don't. And that's how they get the votes from the people that aren't the business people. But if they really wanted to end immigration, then they would find people who hire illegal aliens. And that is like 60% of the workforce. So they're not going to do that. But it's a circle. They need immigrants to do the stuff nobody wants to do. So there's not some kid out of high school that's going to do half the stuff that these immigrants do. So so it's always going to be this ongoing thing.
Yes, and as a straight white male, I can't blame. As a straight white male in show business, I am precluded from blaming illegal immigrants for my lack of job opportunities.
I don't know. Really Fluffy's taking a lot of your work. There's a lot of.
Yes, that's true.
There's not a white jam. There's not a white comedy jam. I'm just saying.
That's what I think I said that on stage. I go like I can't even use that. It's like if you're in construction. Or instruction, if you're in construction or farming or something, I guess you could say, or you're a laborer or something, you could say that. But I can't go, listen, I'd be way ahead in this business. But two guys in the migrant caravan came over in a fruit truck and got my Netflix deal. You know, that's not going to fly. That's not going to work. It's just not.
I don't know. That's a great name for a special, fruit truck. Okay. You know what I mean? Like I would produce that special.
Let's do that. Let's get on that.
Well, showbiz, it's interesting to talk about, like, you know, when you say showbiz, I always think of this thing. It's like, you know, I live in Hollywood, you know, right in the most touristy spot in Hollywood. It's right by the Magic Castle. It's right by the Chinese Theater. All the stars, you know, people come from everywhere to just take pictures of people's names on a star. And then they have all these, you know, bus tours that go around. And I just started thinking it is the creepiest thing to think about. The fact that it's the only job where people like basically bus load people in to see where you live and like just look at you through a window. Like there's nobody like, you know, going after like, you know, trying to get, you know, a top plumber, you know, this is where this guy lives. He, you know, the idea is very funny to me that like why do we get to just load up and stalk this person's house because they were in 4 movies?
There was like Dice used to do a joke about that. I remember this joke that Dice actually had a joke about that where he goes, you see these people, they're selling maps to the stars' homes. What are you going to get? A freaking wall with some ivy on it? I'm started my own business. Keys to the stars' homes. Okay, that was his joke. It was like a really funny joke. That's funny.
The joke I guess I wish I would have written. So
Jokes we wish we'd written. Jokes we wish we'd written. Ladies and gentlemen,
I didn't even know that was a joke that I wish I had.
Right.
But
It's
but no,
segment time. It's segment time. Jokes we wish we'd written. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but it's but it's still fascinating to me to go beyond Dice, who's who drops the punch and leaves, but just the idea of just these people just obsessed with something. It is amazing. Like, why wonder before television or before film, like how were people obsessed? I guess that's how Billy the Kid, or I don't know. You were on a wanted post.
I guess,
like I wonder.
I mean. Yeah, I guess movies, but always had that, in the 20s or 30s, and
I'm talking about before the movies. Like,
before the movies.
I'm trying to go before the movies. Like, what did
P.T. Barnum? You had like the circus and the carnivals.
But the circus was more like a freak show than it was like a celebrity attraction thing. Like I guess Billy the Kid, Bonnie and Clyde.
He was a celebrity, no different than reality television.
True. Yeah. I don't know.
You were you were a bearded lady. Like that was the thing. You weren't like a movie star. You were a bearded lady. Like that was a big deal. People
and there's another joke. Great joke. They had a low budget freak show. Jonathan Katz, I think this is his joke. Jonathan Katz. I went to a low budget freak show. Yeah, they had a bearded man. Just looking like an obvious joke, and not a fat lady, but somebody just had a few extra pounds, dealing with a weight issue, right? Like it's just a very funny, simple, obvious joke, but it was so funny,
Yeah, but just the idea of like just what we idolize is interesting, where it's just
what we choose to be obsessed about. I mean, going to people's house being an attraction is kind of a weird.
But even back to Trump is everything that we've been kind of brainwashed through cinema and like TV shows. Like that's why they make him Rambo. That's why they make him Magic Mike, because we just want we want him to be a fictional character, I think is what it is. It's like. Have you ever read? You should read Neil Postman. You probably brought it. I bring it up constantly with people. Read "Amusing Ourselves to Death." It was written in It's one of the greatest, most insightful books ever written about the intersection of show business, politics, and American culture. And it's so brilliant that you can't even believe that the guy. It basically says that everything is being captured by television and show business values. There's another book called Life the Movie by I think it's Neil Gabler, and it's all about that. It's like show business values have taken over politics and everything, and to such an extent that's why, like Howard Dean. I posted this the other day. Howard Dean screamed 20 years ago, and his entire career was over. Right, like one time, and his entire political career is over, and now. The craziness in the campaigns that we see, and it just gets crazier and crazier by the day. Insane, behaviors of the candidates, and nobody blinks. It's just well, it's like Idiocracy. It's an amazing film that basically it just taps into where we're headed and where we are now. Like you watch Idiocracy, I mean, it looks like it's right now, like a real life thing. So people just get. We love being obsessed. I think that's what we want. We want action figures. We want vinyl records.
By the way, I'm looking at the Adams posted Trump.
Yeah, you're a little late on this. We were like,
I didn't see it in
4
the
minutes
chat.
ago.
No, I know, but I didn't realize it was in the chat. I thought it would go up on the screens for our big fan base.
I took that photo in the Poconos on a lake, and if you look closely, you'll see it's pretty funny because you have that Trump is Rambo poster, and then whoever owns that boat has a Chihuahua.
That dog is amazing. But that's what Trump is. Trump is a Chihuahua. He's like he thinks he's this big, strong, whatever, and he's this little yappy Chihuahua. That's exactly
and what we're doing right now, talking about it, getting upset, pointing out the Chihuahua thing. The other side's going, "We got him. We hooked him. We got him again. We got him upset." We got to make
it. That's like a Pulitzer picture there. That's amazing.
It really is.
Everything that's in that photo is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got the drink there. You got the Chihuahua. You got the. It's hilarious.
I mean, I told you, my mom was a big Trumper and huge Trumper and constantly, and would get me on the phone and would say, "Hi, Brian. How do you feel about what Trump did today?" And I'm like, "Mom, hello, Mom." That was like literally the conversation was constantly being steered in that way.
Yeah.
Like, and I never brought it up. Like, I never even argued about it or ever mentioned Trump to my mother. And she was like, "I suppose you think he's Hitler. Is that the deal?" You know, it's like, Mom, I never even mentioned Trump. I never bring him up. I never talk about him. Can we move on? I'm just saying, Brian, it seems that your type of people.
I love how your mom also brings up Hitler a lot.
Yeah. Way too much. Way too much.
It's always goes back to Hitler and the McFadden family.
Yeah.
It's like somebody one or the other. Now, it was
Well,
interesting.
As I said, Dustin, I have this joke that, like, where I say, people say all Trump supporters are racist Nazis, and my mom may be a racist Nazi, but I have to say the fact that she's an elderly Jewish woman who lives in Florida is an amazing cover. I got to say that. That is well played, Mom. Well played, Mom. Right? That's CIA level, you know?
That is. I love it. That's like Mission Impossible. Get the mask. She has to put her face in a briefcase, and she comes out.
That's Ethan Hunt, Mission Impossible. What I always wanted a line for that, like what do they call that? Double identity stuff. What's the funny line to say that's some dual identity Ethan Hunt Mission Impossible stuff
Hunt for
right
Red
there,
October
Mom.
or something. Yeah, I think maybe movie references or something, or
maybe, but like
Mission
where someone's
Impossible.
That's a Mission Impossible.
Jason Bourne.
No, the word is dual identity or impersonation, or what is it called when you have a spy where he's like a double agent, or dual identity, or a false identity. What the hell? I feel like there's a term that I cannot think of. You know, like a superhero has a what?
No. It's just it's a spy, double spy. What's it called? A spy, double spy, like a.
I know that's what I can't come up with.
That's what Adam's for. A double spy.
That's what I'm looking up right now.
Double spy. It's something like that. It's like
dual identity. But even like a Superman, what's Clark Kent to Superman? His secret identity. That secret identity is not bad. Like secret identity is like that's some superhero secret identity stuff, Mom. Well played. Where she's an elderly Jewish woman, but she's really a Nazi.
For spy? Right? There's a word for spy. We all know it. It's really easy. It's double spy.
I know. Like what is it?
A spy that works for both sides. What's that called?
Yeah, it's like
it's a spy double agent.
Double agent. I think it's double agent.
Double
isn't
agent.
It?
That's it. Right?
Yeah.
Double agent.
That
still feels off.
CIA
double
agent.
Double agent.
Double agent. Okay.
Or you could say, 007, even though it's like 007, just because it sounds like my mom is James Bond. That's kind of funny. Like that's some double agent stuff. Doesn't sound funny to me, but that's some 007 stuff there, Mom. That sounds funny to me,
that's
right?
Funny.
You know?
Like
007
you go to your
is
mom's
funny.
house. You know, it's like that could be funny too, where it's just like, you know, she's got her minivan. Like it's probably got all kinds of secret stuff on it. Like there's something funny about like your
my mom has
the 0070. 0070 is funny.
A piece of chewing gum that
but 0070, come on, that's funny. 0070 because she's older.
Oh, that's funny. My mom is 007. That's funny because that's really funny because then you can go, that's some 007 or in my mom's case 0070, right?
Yeah.
That's a great tag. That's really funny.
Like just because you get to play with all the words. So
yes, 0070.
0070.
Yes, it's Dustin Chafin for the win. Right?
Yeah, that's what we do here. That's what we do here. That's
what we do. We fix the jokes. We chase the comedy. Like hound
Chasing
dogs.
comedy, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 0070 that's some 007 stuff. Or in my mom's case, 0070, right? There
we go.
Right. Or 74 or 78, right? Right? 0078.
Well, 7, you have to do 7 because it's,
Yeah. 0078.
Even if she's 80, you got to go 70.
Yeah. Got to go that one. Anyway. Oh, that's good.
Incredible.
We got the first official joke of the day. The first official joke tweak of the day. That's successful joke tweak. I think that one.
Yeah, I think so. Right. Well, we always, Sometimes I
So
look
you
back.
want to do you want to do a joke you wish you wrote?
You go ahead. You
Like,
seem to be excited about it.
I love that. I love that kind of stuff. Bill
Go.
Hicks. Bill
All
Hicks.
right, you go.
Best joke about dads ever written. Bill Hicks.
Bill
My
Hicks.
dad. I never got along with my dad. This is Bill Hicks. This should be at the Louvre, right? There should be a Louvre for comedy, one-liners, and this is one
I
of
love
them.
it.
Bill Hicks had the best joke about fathers and sons. Said, I never got along with my dad. Kids at school used to say, "My dad can beat up your dad," and I'd say, "When?" Okay, you name the time, and I will have him there. That to me is such a perfect joke. It's so simple and elegant, and it's just, I love that joke.
Yeah.
And no one will ever hear that joke again.
Yeah. Hicks was great. It was just everything was great about that guy.
But that joke and Barry Crimmins, if people say to him, he criticized America, they go, why don't you love America, love it or leave it? Why don't you leave then? And move to another country, because I don't want to be a victim of U.S. foreign policy. That's such a great joke. How come you criticize America? Why don't you live somewhere else? Because I don't want to be a victim of U.S. foreign policy. That's like such a perfect joke, right?
Well, perfect joke. I think Stephen Wright has perfect jokes.
Yeah.
My favorite Stephen
many.
Wright, I think, and I always slaughter these people, but I was born a C-section, so when I leave the house, I go out the window.
Go out through the window. Yeah. Right.
It's just so tight. It's so perfect.
Right.
Like the visualize him crawling out a window, boom.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no fat, there's no extra. Because that's the thing. Sometimes there's like Carlin will have a rant that I love, but like when it comes to like specific, just jokes, like assassin style jokes that are just like pop, and it's like there's it's 2 seconds, 2 seconds, and you're laughing. I mean, it's 2 seconds.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah,
and there's no fat on that at all, and those jokes are hard to come by. Those jokes with that.
Those jokes. It's interesting with the Stephen Wright. I've seen him live, and it was interesting watching him live. And then also, it's like are you ever on stage and it's like you find yourself you can't follow yourself sometimes, where you're just like you maybe you do something that you should have closed with, or you do something that or it's just like it's like you have a joke that you can't get rid of because it just always works, and it's just like it's almost like haunting how much you hate doing the joke, but it rips the crowd to pieces.
Wait, well, okay, give me an example of this, because I want to know give me an example of like something that actually.
Let's say you're in Pennsylvania and the crowd sucks, and you pull out the gay football coach joke. I'm sure you're tired of doing it, but it's it destroys. And so it's like one of those jokes where you're just like, it's like I don't, it's like I'm beyond that. I've written so much more, but it's like a joke. I'm just saying it's like, I have jokes like, that I just think I don't want to do anymore. I have the joke about the Jehovah. I dated Jehovah's Witness. We have problems every time she comes over. I won't let her in. Whatever.
Right.
Boom, boom. It always gets a laugh, and it's like I'm tired. I almost walk through it, but it's like every time I do a set and I use that joke, I don't have the set I want. Like if I break out that joke, then I feel like it's not the set I wanted to have, because I felt like I had to pull in. It's kind of like a quarterback running for a first down instead of throwing.
When you pull that out, it's a fail safe, and that means
it's not a fail. I mean, I could destroy, and it's a great set. But for me personally, I feel like, all right, I didn't have as much fun as I wanted to. I didn't do the new stuff I wanted to do, or I wouldn't have pulled that joke out, or I didn't have the faith in myself. I was chicken to,
There's a flag. That joke is a flag and an indicator that that the things weren't going, and you pulled that out because you knew, all right, this is going to rock the house, and get them back. And I'm not proud of it. Right. And
I mean,
even
it's
though
not like I'm out there
great,
juggling or anything, but it's still like in my head.
It's a great joke, but you don't want to have to reach into that bag of tricks and do something that you're either tired of, doesn't resonate anymore, or just you want your new stuff to just have that same flow of ease of killing that
Well,
that you
Doug
don't have to want to,
Stanhope basically said comedy clubs are the worst thing ever for comedians. It's
Okay. What? Okay.
comedy
I'm
clubs
gonna
are
listen to this. Yes.
ruining comedians. No, and
Okay.
he's right to an extent, and I know what he means by that, where it's
Because
just
yeah.
there's no freedom to have a set. Back in the 70s, man, guys
Yeah.
are up there just doing 30 minutes of like whatever. There
No,
wasn't like
yeah.
they still got booked back. Like they got to, of course there was probably like 30 comics back then.
Right.
But I
And
think it's like,
yeah.
let me finish. But I think
Yeah,
there's
sorry.
just like this thing where it's just like, every comic feels like they have to crush, especially in like a New York City environment. And so to get
Yeah.
rebooked, you have to
Yeah.
destroy with a material. And so
Yeah.
I think there is something that keeps comics from having the courage to do newer things because of that.
Yeah, I think and you always hear those stories of Jim Carrey when he was doing impressions and then he went back to the comedy the comedy store and he decided to just throw out his old material and become this other guy on stage where he did crazy characters, and he said he was bombing constantly and bombing all the time and bombing like every night and just doing bits and characters that went on forever. And I think about that and I go, I want to see some footage of that. Like, I would love to see what that was like. He would go on late and just because if you've been in the clubs, you go, oh, did they really let him do that? And I know they did. They probably did, but it just sounds like to us, to our ears, like, oh yeah, they just let you go up and bomb at the clubs, constantly because they were so supportive of the art. And it sounds like another like a fantasy world where they, because when I go up at certain places, if I'm in a jam, I go, all right, I'm getting CNN guy now. A young child wanders the streets of a mudcrack hillside, and it crushes, it crushes. And I'm like, oh, I did CNN guy to bail me out because some of the newer stuff wasn't,
No, but it's like there's stories of like Richard Pryor just getting up and doing something about being God or something, and like everybody's crying and everybody's like, there's no laughter at all. And
right.
Just leave.
And I'm waiting. I want to see footage of these legendary performances because a part of me, of course, is cynical and goes, oh, come on. Is that like just some fantasy
well, nobody ever gets
story?
the full story right. So
And I really do. Yeah, and I do believe that, and you do hear it in New York sometimes. Guys would go on at 2 a.m. and they throw people up, and late at night I remember when Chris Rock used to go up at Catch. They put him up late, and he wouldn't always do well, but he was so funny, and he would have these great jokes, and some of the white audiences weren't that comfortable with some of those great jokes, and I did witness on a small scale some of that, but I've heard that so many times, usually LA based, where Carrie. I've heard that about Pryor. I don't know about Carlin. I always wonder, like, how did Carlin hone those long pieces? Because I saw some video online of Carlin with a sheet of paper where he was just honing the memorization of those long bits. And it wasn't even like they were doing well, but he was almost reading them. And it was fascinating to watch because he was just getting the wording down of some of those things and working and drilling those down so that every word was like perfect by the time he did the specials.
Yeah, I also think it's like the problem with being a club comic, and I am a club comic, and I appreciate being a club comic, and it's the blood and heart of what stand-up comedy is, because these big arena guys and whatever, it's like there's about 10 of those guys, and then everybody else, we're playing your Nana's birthday party, we're playing the late show at the comic strip,
everything,
like
whatever.
Like we're the ones that we're the glue of keeping the stand-up comedy craft together. So I think that's what. However, I do see working with people that have excelled in this crazy environment. I feel there is something that I always have to work on, and that is letting the audience have too much control over how I feel while I'm up there, whether it be like a joke not getting the laugh I feel it deserves, and reacting to that, as opposed to just the Jim Carrey, just churning through it, going through it, knowing that it's funny, knowing that it's bigger, and not letting this sound that we have to have from an audience affect the craft and where we're going with the material, you know?
Well, that's the other thing is like how successful, that's another question is like how successful you have to be in the industry to have the cachet to be able to get away with that. Like if you go into a club and you just do a new material and, you know, we see, you know, Gaffigan goes to Gotham all the time and he's working stuff out. He's working stuff out and he can afford he can afford to not be, you know, killing every line. But like some of us always feel like, oh, I'm not at that level yet. I can't get away with that, especially if you're closing, like with some, you know, into some room and
closing
you've
is
got
the
all
worst.
this pressure. You go, okay, I want to shove a new bit in here. Oh, I can't because I'm opening or closing. You know, like I'm closing. That's a tough. Yeah, that's a tough thing to.
Yeah, well, you and I, especially you, but I feel you and I have this thing where it's just like sometimes you get punished for being a good comic.
Yeah, true. You do.
It's so funny. Like I recently was in Vegas and I did this festival thing and I went up like fourth or something and it was like, you know, the crowd was stupid or it wasn't that great, but I was good. And it was like the perfect moment in the show. And I was like, rah, 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 rah. And so then the next show they have me close and it's like 14 comics and the crowd is tired. And I'm just like, why? You know, and then it's like, and then it's like, and then I get, and everybody's expecting this thing. And I'm like, well, you know, I mean, and then I just go into old stuff and I'm not having that energy that I had.
No,
and so sometimes
I hate that. Yeah. I know that feeling when I'm up third or fourth and not to, oh my God, I'm like, oh, that's magic time.
It's unbelievable.
Right?
It's unbelievable.
Yes. The best feeling. It's the best feeling. I can throw a few things in. The audience is like, okay, all right. But then when I'm up last, it's like, okay, you're the last guy.
Here we go.
You better crush. And it's like and I'm hammering. And then I go, I got to work this new bit. I got to work this new bit. And so I shove it in. And it's like, it's on baby steps. It's taking the baby steps. It's, he's walking. Oh, he fell, you know, like that the bit is like, oh, he fell
you don't
down.
give it the life because you know that you have to get back to the crush stuff. So
Of course.
You just give it a little bit of breath. Because you like kill yourself if you don't at least try something new, but it's a different kind of trying than when you're fourth or third or second or whatever. So it's
a different animal completely. And people say, but Brian, can I go third? Well, you're really hard to follow. You know, it's like, you know what? No, learn to follow me. Get good.
Well, here's the thing too.
You know,
being famous is like always going third because the crowd gives you they gives you attention, they give you like respect, they so it's always like going third, no matter where you're at on the show. That's what I've learned from working with famous people. It's like the audience and that so they can do that new stuff and without and they don't worry about the sound and it's just like it's just kind of an amazing thing to watch.
Yeah. And then you go up and you're, this is a totally, these are the little things about comedy, the little mechanics about comedy that comedians know and nobody from the outside, they go, well, what? Just go up and, you know what? Just kill, go like, it's like, no, every comedy is very fragile with a lot of moving parts and context is everything. And where you go up on the lineup, the audience is an organism that changes from one comic to the next, and it's a completely different vibe. And you go up third. Oh, wait, that guy just ate it and turned on the crowd and insulted them. Now the crowd's angry. And so there's a delicate more touch that you have to, it's just really, and to us, it's just baked into our DNA. We just react to all of that without even thinking about it.
People from the outside see it as like, I could do that. And so that's why it's a craft that gets, the disrespect it gets because, I mean, stand-up comedy it's like trying to, like, you can't make green without yellow, and that's the thing when you're a painter. So it's like in stand-up comedy, you can't have a set that's, a kill set without this element. And so, people don't, see it that way. They see it as this, like, you're funny. But
and it really is. And it really is weird. The whole, I think we talked about this already, but the whole thing about why comedy is the most revered and disrespected art form. It really is. People are like, I can't believe you do that. Like they don't even say that about music. Like they'll say like, "Oh my God, you're an amazing musician," but people will talk about comedy in this kind of reverential way. Of, I can't believe you get up in front of all those people. And like, I know, because fear of speaking in public is such a palpable fear for a lot of people. So that's powerful enough. And then there's the added thing that everyone thinks they're funny. Like everyone thinks they have not even that they think they're funny. They think they have a good sense of humor. Everyone thinks they have. Nobody goes, I have no sense of humor at all. People will say I'm not funny, but there's most people who say I have a good sense of humor, and a lot of people don't. And we see those people all the time, and they don't.
I know music really well. I have a very versed knowledge of music. I'm a pretty rock and roll kind of guy. Cannot play guitar to save my life. And so the thing is, when people see a good stand-up comic, they should look at the guy like he's playing a 12-string guitar.
Yes.
Like that's how you should look at a stand-up comedian. Not that like, oh, I'm funny like that.
Yeah,
we make it look like you could do it, but that doesn't mean you can do it. And that's the thing is Eddie Van Halen used to made it look like you could do it because he was just so having fun. Like all you're doing is this. That's all you're doing. And so how is that hard? You're just doing this. You're doing a lot of this. That's not hard.
Yeah.
And that's how comics make comedy look to the lay people. You know?
It's so I think not that they could necessarily do it, but those are the people that come up to you after the show. I got one for you. I got one for you where it's a joke that I got an idea for you, and it's like, hey, Eddie Van Halen, I got this lick I'm going to teach you.
I'm sure he's heard it. I'm sure he's heard it. I'm sure there was one guy that plays guitar at Guitar Center who had like backstage passes and like, it's hey, Eddie, I got one. I guarantee you there was at least 3 guys that did that to Eddie Van Halen. And but in comedy, it's like every night. It's like every night there's a guy.
Yeah.
And they don't treat us like Eddie Van Halen. They treat us like Eddie Money. You know what I mean? Like
we don't. We don't even get treated like Eddie Money. Okay, Eddie Munster. Okay, Butch Patrick. We don't get treated like. But
Eddie from Leave It to Beaver. Now I'm aging myself.
As if Butch Patrick didn't give it away, right? Like, I don't know. This is all. Yeah.
But, here's the thing. Sometimes, comics, like for people that are looking in on this, even new comics are looking in on this and like, how do people, it's like, even when we go to diners and like we got our notebooks out and we're having our cheeseburger deluxe in Queens or wherever we are and we're writing our stuff, sometimes it becomes jokes that work and like, here's the punch, here's the tag, and sometimes it just becomes this kind of like just free for all of ideas and like how do we feel about something, because the more you are in tune to how you feel about something, the better the joke is. And I think that's what people don't understand. It's not always the punchline. It's the feeling. What feeling do you have behind that joke and that premise that you're presenting? Like, how do you feel about it? That's why Hicks was so good. He felt those things. And so I think a lot of it is that. So sometimes we just have to flush out. Like this is an interesting element because people always ask, because I'm doing a clean show in LA and it's just like, people always like, well, what is clean? What does it mean? And it's just like, is it like cursing? Is it subject matter? Because if we say masturbation, but you don't say the F word, is that, clean? Right. It's like there's a mentality. Yeah, it's not. No, but people think that. There's people that really think, I didn't say the F word. What's the big deal?
Yeah. But you talk about masturbation, you've tanked your clean comedy show, right? Like you know what I mean? And so you forget that. And there's clean and then there's antiseptic. I always talk about there's clean and then there's antiseptic, which is like, clean means few F words and not like dark sexual material. And I think masturbation would go into that umbrella. But then there's antiseptic, which is you can't even make a reference that people ever had sex or anyone even has sex. Like there's the is the ultimate.
I just worked Yamava, it's like 4,000 people with Nate. And it was like, one of those crowds where, my mindset is like, you do material that is going to avoid. Basically, I tell people the material is after the show. Would a child ask their parents, what does that mean? And if you're doing
Right.
material where somebody says, what
Yeah.
is weed, or what is a blowjob, or what is whatever,
Mhm.
like if you're doing material that's going to make a child ask their parent something, that
Mhm.
then I feel that's probably not appropriate. I feel
Right.
you have to try to kind of fluff it out a little bit in the sense
Yeah,
of,
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
I don't know.
Interesting.
You shouldn't.
Yep.
The parents shouldn't have to sit down and have some crazy conversation about the birds and the bees. You know what I mean?
There shouldn't be an
It's
intervention.
a comedy show. Like they should
Yeah,
just be able to enjoy it as a
meeting,
family.
a family meeting, and an intervention after the comedy show should not be necessary. Okay,
Say, what is heroin addiction like, mommy? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
to have a little bit of instinct on what it is.
Right.
And it's a lot of comics
And
don't
the idea of what a clean show is that's a really funny. I mean, I don't know, funny, but it's just fascinating because people
it's
go,
interesting.
"What's a clean show?" Well, I think masturbation is off limits. F word off limits. But okay, but then there's some places where you go, me and my wife, we made love, we had sex. You could say we had sex. That's okay on a clean show. Like some clean shows. And then there's the cruise ship or whatever. They're doing a Mormon gig or whoever, where it's really we don't even want to know.
If there's kids, it's a different show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Is it all whatever you think clean is? If there's kids and you don't know what that is, then you're not a real comic. If you can't get up there and figure it out when there's a child in front of you, then you got the wrong business.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah. Yes.
If you've never been around a niece or a nephew, like you don't know how to behave in front of a child.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? Really?
I mean, there's common sense things, but a lot of comics don't have. There's a lot of comics that don't have. I've seen comics, like I was in LA, I saw comics just go off on, going down on girls or whatever, and children in the crowd, and you're just like, come on.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That always amazes me where like people don't read the room or go, I thought I didn't say the F word. It's like, are you kidding me? That's the word. That's the least of your sins, I mean,
before I figured out how to do clean comedy, I would find myself in situations where, comedy clubs sometimes, a child will be in there. Let's say it's like a cool parent's got the kid, whatever. The kid may be 12, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say in that situation, I address the parent. And I always say, hey, this kid's gonna need therapy after the show. What's going on? I'll have some sort of discourse with the parent and be like, hey, is it okay that I go down this road? Because this is what's gonna happen. And then they'll be like, oh, they don't care. They listen to rap. They do whatever. They don't care. And if you get the go ahead from the parent, then I think it's fine. But I think I think that's important, is to kind of get the go ahead from the parent.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and then at the same time, it's like, should kids be in comedy clubs? I don't know. My mom took me to concerts when I was a child and changed my life. So I guess comedy would be the same kind of thing. It's like, it's cool to have experience something early. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. How old were you when you went to the?
Well,
concerts?
7 years old. I went to Zeppelin.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
So I experienced the greatest concert of all time, and I was 7.
At 7.
So, secondhand smoke at 7. So
All right. Well, that's good. Right.
But so I think it's but I grew up in a bar. Like there was always like my energy as a child is my life as a child very different than most people. Biker bar turned into a strip club at one point. Like we were just sitting there playing pinball, and like awful things are happening to the left of the bar. You know what I mean? It's like it was the 70s and 80s. Nobody cared about kids back then.
Yeah. Nobody.
There was nobody going, hey, that kid shouldn't see that. They're like, that kid should see that. You want to drink?
And we were better. And we were better off. Okay. Yes.
In some ways,
better off.
In some ways, I think.
Well, I mean, I really do. I think I genuinely look at the best parts of my childhood as painful and as empty and vacuous and narcissistically deprived that drove me into comedy as they were. The best parts were the disinterest of my parents in what I was up to, right? Like that the complete obliviousness was in a painful way. One of the only upsides of the whole thing was, yes, my parents were completely not, really nurturing of children, but they were also completely uninvolved in a way that left me to my own devices, which gave me some skill sets that have paid off in my later life. But was it ideal? No. Would it be I would recommend? No. But compared to the helicopter parents that are over involved in their kids' lives and building bubbles around them of comfort, I feel like the feral way we grew up was better than that. But maybe that's just my bias. I don't know. But I don't.
I think it goes both ways. I think part of me is like I get what you're saying. It's like just being left to my own devices opened up this creativity in me and an independence, and I'm always a survivor, and I get all that. But at the same time, it's like what I wouldn't do to have a mom get onto me and make me play piano every day. You know what I mean? I wish.
Right. No, I know exactly.
I see these parents that tell their kids. My parents didn't care if I did my homework. I wish somebody did care. Then I might be able to write a paragraph without 40 grammar mistakes.
I swear to God, my dad occasionally would watch a TV show. I don't know, Leave It to Beaver or something like that. And he would not that show, but I mean, something like that and then the Brady Bunch or something. And he would literally come in and read off a card what he thought he was supposed to be doing. And it was just painful to here you go. Are you doing your homework? And it's no, Dad, I'm not. All right, I'll talk to you later. It was he didn't know how to do that. So he would try to go over the top with it and just go, I hear that I'm supposed to ask you about your homework. And yeah, I'm doing it, Dad. That's great. And all right, good. Glad to know it. And he'd be out the door, like that. He just wanted to know that he
funny.
was living.
That's an interesting element. I know you don't talk about your dad a lot, but I think that's interesting. My dad, it looks like he was reading off a cue card, just
It was hey,
relate to me. What he thought, that's very funny with the Brady Bunch and all that. I think that's really great.
There's probably something funny there about, definitely something funny there about my father wanting to be a dad, but just watching TV and he grew up without a dad, my father. So he had no role models of anything. His was an alcoholic father. And so he would just occasionally come in and script a scene where he would just go, everything you need to talk about here. You know what I mean? It's
well, it'd be funny if you had a classic line. If you had more classic lines from television, that might be kind of a funnier.
I know. What would one of those? What would an example? That's. I know what you're saying. It's you would need a Brady Bunch example.
The Beaver. It's tough because these are going to be dated, but at the same time they're kind of iconic in some ways. But something about.
It's not something out of Family Ties, but not that show. You'd have to pick the right show. It's not Leave It to Beaver, not the Brady Bunch. It's too cartoony, but it would be something
something.
What's that?
Cosby Show.
Something but it would have to be. It would have to be a family show like the Partridge Family, but not that. But something like that where the father would come in. Family Ties. What's the Living Together? I don't like those names that everything mashes together.
Different strokes.
Hey son, you getting your homework done?
And you're like, what you talking about, Willis?
Yeah. What you talking about, Willis? What you talking about, Willis? I don't know. Something. There's probably a bit there.
Oh, your dad saying what you talk about, Willis, is funny.
Yeah. What you talking? Oh, yeah. My father getting the wrong references.
Doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's. I think you got to set with this one. I think you got to set with this one, and this is kind of like a journal writing and figure it out. But I think it's really funny. The idea of but it's very funny because with me, it's my parents weren't around at all. And so if they were, it was toxic, And so I feel like with me, it's I was raised through television. And so I feel I was raised by, the Good Times dad. And I was raised by, reruns antics. And I was raised by John Ritter, it was, so there's something interesting about all that, but as the parent. So I think if you play with that idea, I think it's pretty great.
Something funny there. Definitely something to look at.
All right. I got to go, boys.
All right.
I got to chase more comedy. I got to chase some lookers. I got to
Yeah,
chase
yeah.
some bookers. They won't email me back. That's chasing bookers. That's my other show where I just trash comedy clubs across the country.
Yeah.
Get back to me.
That's the next show.
Chasing
Burning-
bookers.
Yeah, chasing bookers. Chasing bookings
That's my new
and
show.
bookers.
All right. All right, folks. Well, this has been a weird one, and we like it weird.
Well, folks, that's our show. It's time for us to go. Make sure to follow us, give us a like, drop us a comment, and always subscribe. We're at Chasing Comedy on all the socials. We hope you had a gas, had some laughs, and maybe you learned something too. Until next time, we're Brian and Dustin, and we're chasing comedy.